Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we're talking about how to formulate oil serums. So this is something I get a lot of questions about, and I think people tend to sort of overthink it and overcomplicate it. So I wanted to chat about sort of how I come at formulating oil serums, some of the considerations when you're formulating a serum for the face, and how to basically just get out there and start making messes. So let's get started. So first things first, what is a facial oil serum? It's basically just oil that you put on your face. And when I say oil here, we're talking about lipid-based oils, not essential oils, which are not lipid-based. We're talking about fats. So anything from argan oil to olive oil to coconut oil to lard. All of those things you could put on your face and kind of call an oil serum, and you would not be wrong. There are a few things you want to keep in mind when formulating an oil serum for the face. One of the first one is going to be that your face is more sensitive than the rest of your body, and so you want to be nice to it. So don't include a bunch of irritating things, and to that end, we want to be sure we're keeping our essential oil concentrations at 1% or less. This is a fairly general rule of thumb, but I would recommend that you research the individual essential oils that you wish to use, because you may find that the maximum recommended usage for that is maybe only 0.2%, and so 1% would still be far, far too much. So for that reference, I recommend reading Robert Tisserand and Young's Essential Oil Safety for Professionals tome. It's fantastic, very, very large. I would recommend getting the ebook so that you can search through it, because they've got profiles on tons and tons of different essential oils with recommendations for maximum use level. So it's a wonderful reference book. Something else for faces is that we'll often use sort of more expensive ingredients on our faces. So this can be a really fun place to play with those pricier carrier oils that you've sort of been hoarding. Like, don't hoard them too long. They will go bad. I know this from experience. And then for face, we're often quite a lot more concerned with the experience and the texture and the scent of the serum. You know, it's right under your nose usually and right around your eyes. So you're noticing a lot of these things a lot more. The skin's much more delicate. So something that you maybe wouldn't consider to be too oily or too heavy or too sticky for your feet, you'd hate on your face. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So yeah, there's a few extra considerations that we want to have spinning around upstairs when we're formulating an oil serum for the face. So in its simplest form, a plain oil will make a fine oil serum. Many companies do this. They sell, pure argan oil or moringa oil or marula oil or tons of different oils you can buy as just sort of standalone single ingredient oil serums. And they're lovely. But when you have a bunch of oils, the itch to blend starts to bubble up. And so why do we blend oils? One of the biggest reasons is that you would like to get the benefits of a couple different oils. That's kind of the basic reason. And sort of part and parcel to that is you may wish to counter some of the less desirable attributes of an oil with some of the more desirable attributes of another. So those less desirable attributes can be several things. It could be price. It could be that this oil that you love is just very, very expensive. So you would like to dilute it with something else that is also nice, but is not very, very expensive. It could be that an oil is very smelly. So something like neem oil smells charitably like barbecue sauce, or macadamia nut oil, which I really like the smell of, but it's very, very nutty, and you might not sort of want that sort of following you around on your face all day long. It could be that the oil that you want to use is extremely colorful. So something like sea buckthorn oil can dye your skin orange in quite low concentrations. So if you wanted to include that, you definitely want to dilute it. Otherwise, you'd probably look like you were guesting on Jersey Shore if you just kind of did that pure, and it could last for a couple days. This stuff's very, very orange. Or it could also be that you're just not that keen on the consistency. So I love evening primrose oil on my face, but it's quite heavy and it does kind of smell a little funky. So I like to dilute it with something a little bit lighter so you get the benefits of the evening primrose oil, but a better experience. The base of formulating is knowing your ingredients. So in addition to researching and reading about all the oils that you are considering buying or have in your pantry, I also want you to feel them. Get some on your skin, rub them around, smell them, try them on your face, see what you think, because it's hard to know what characteristics will pair well together if you don't know what those characteristics are, right? So the first part is I want you to just like have a feeling party and make a bunch of notes and combine, you've kind of got, for your evening primrose oil, again, if you're going to be researching that, you'd find out that it's rich in gamma-linolenic acid and linoleic acid, and that, these things are wonderful for sort of problematic skin. And then when you start handling it, you'll realize that it has a scent and a consistency that is maybe not hugely desirable. And so you can sort of say, all right, I know I would like to work with evening primrose oil, but I don't want to use it pure because of the scent and the consistency, but I know I want to use it because of the good things. So yes, these are things that get to know your ingredients. It's important. Once you get to know your ingredients, it's time to start combining some of them thoughtfully. So I would recommend doing a 1-to-1 blend of just 2 different oils to get to see how that works. So if we keep talking about evening primrose oil, since that's sort of where we were before, we know that it's heavy and a little smelly. So we would want to counter it with something that would be lighter and lower scent to dilute that characteristic fragrance. So we'd be looking at oils that are light and low in scent. And so if you kind of go back to your experiments, you might come across something like argan oil or rosehip oil or squalane, all really lovely lightweight oils that you can use to counter. And then just mix 1-to-1. And please start small. Even if you're just doing 2 grams of each, that will make more than enough for you to get an idea of how it feels and what you think of it. Please don't start by mixing like tablespoons of oils, or you will very, very quickly torch through your oils, especially if you're only buying them in like 30 to 100 mils at a time. But you will make far more product than you could ever use. So if you hate something, then you're gonna feel bad because you put so many ingredients in it. So please start really, really small, because a little amount of oil is still quite a lot when you'd only use a couple drops to apply to your whole face at any given time. So yeah, start small, start 1-to-1 and make lots of notes. A bit of an exception to that 1-to-1 rule is going to be with ingredients like sea buckthorn oil, where they're super, super orange, or ingredients like neem oil, where they're super, super stinky. In which case, I would recommend that you do some experiments to see kind of the maximum use for those precise ingredients. And because these are natural ingredients, they vary quite a lot. I've had some sea buckthorn oil that I have sort of come to believe over the years is quite a lot lower in potency in the color department than what is mostly available to people, because I would put out these recipes and say, this is great. And people would write back to me and be like, Marie, I am orange. What is going on here? Like, why? I'm orange, you're very pale, you should also be very orange. And it's just because my sea buckthorn oil is significantly less orange than their sea buckthorn oil. And then you can also, there's a small side note here, sea buckthorn fruit oil is much, much oranger than sea buckthorn seed oil. So another thing to keep in mind. But yeah, do some experiments and find out what is that maximum amount that you can include based on your ingredient and your skin or your nose, because chances are it's not going to be 50%. I'd probably see how like 2% works. Let's start there. One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what percentage of including an oil makes it effective? And this is kind of an impossible question to answer. I am inclined to look at lists of products that are commercially available that contain 50 different carrier oils and think that the ones that are lower on the ingredients list, so present in smaller concentrations, probably aren't doing much. But if you're looking at something with 5 or 6 in there, or if you're looking at an ingredient like sea buckthorn oil where you really can't include it over maybe 5% without dyeing the end user orange, it's really, really hard to say. It varies so much, and there's really no way to quantify this other than you make the thing, you try the thing, you make notes, and you see how it works for you. So don't get too fussed about, is there enough of this in here to be effective? Especially if you're working with like 1-to-1 or maybe like 3 or 4 oil blends. But at the same time, I wouldn't make an oil blend that has 24 different oils in it, because there's no, that's getting to be to the point where you have such small amounts of everything. if it does work, you don't even really know what is working for you. It could be that the ingredient that you have in there at 5%, if you'd used it at 50%, would like make your skin sing. So if you want to develop something super complex, please start simple. I sure hope that most of those really big, fancy, complex oil serums you see started with a couple of ingredients, and then they slowly added things and discovered that those things continued to improve the performance of the serum, and that they didn't just start with like, I'm going to put 2 grams of everything I own in here and like see how that works. I'd like to wrap up with a quick chat on usage. Your oil serum should be the last or the second last part of your skincare routine. During the day, it would be the second last because the last would be sunscreen. And so make sure you're applying your oil serum after you've applied all of your water-based, sort of hydrating toners or serums, that sort of thing. And do remember that your skin does need water. There seems to be this sort of sentiment going around on the internet that oil is like more concentrated water, and that if you're using skincare products that contain water, you're being ripped off because water is just a cheap filler. But it's really not. Our skin and our bodies need water, and you can't replace water with oil and skincare any more than you can if you were thirsty and you just chugged a giant glass of olive oil. Like, that would not quench your thirst, and the very idea is making me kind of gag a little bit. Your skin needs water, so make sure that you are using both, because if your skin's dehydrated, no beautiful fancy oil serum is going to fix that dehydration. So yeah, water is good. If you're one of those people who finds that every oil that they try makes their acne worse, please look into fungal acne. So I'm going to link to an incredibly comprehensive, very well written and researched article in the description box below from a wonderful blog called Simple Skincare Science. And the general gist of it is that fungal acne is a jerk. It's a fungus that lives on your skin that eats sebum and most oils. So if you put argan oil, rosehip oil, or any oil that you've had people just extol the virtues of to you, if you put those on your face, you are feeding the fungus. And so this can create an extremely frustrating sort of quagmire of rage, because you'll just keep trying things and everything you try will make it worse. And just, right? So know your enemy, go read that article and see if maybe that rings some bells for you, because yeah, if fungal acne is the problem, no amount of trying different expensive carrier oils is going to solve that problem, unfortunately. So yeah, also it's a really good blog, so he writes lots of really good stuff. So in conclusion, oil serums are oils and blends of oils that we put on our face. We blend them to get the benefits of a variety of different oils all in one package, be it just that we love all the oils and we want them all at the same time, or that we love an oil, but we don't want all of the attributes to really shine as they would if used neat. And you maybe want to dilute the scent or the color or the consistency with something lighter or less stinky or less colorful. When you're working on refining your blends, please get to know your ingredients first, and then when you start mixing things, start small and start simple, and take lots and lots of notes so that you can get to know about what you like and what your skin likes, and create something that is truly wonderful for you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Do check the description box below for links to some helpful resources, and I'll see you next time.